The North Carolina State Wolfpack have been the biggest surprise of the ACC as Dick Sheridan's team vaulted to the number 12 national ranking. A punishing defense and an opportunistic group of players are a win away from being the winningest Wolfpack football team. The Florida Gators are built in the image of their head coach, Steve Spurrier. The SEC's top quarterback, Shane Matthews, leads the passing attack. And he's supported on the ground by Errict Rhett. The Gators and the Wolfpack meet in the 48th Annual Gator Bowl. Tonight from Jacksonville, Florida, it's the 48th Annual Gator Bowl. At stake in tonight's game, a top 10 ranking, as well as conference pride as a 12th-ranked North Carolina State Wolfpack of the ACC meet the 15th rated Gators of Florida, representing the SEC. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Bender. Glad you can be with us on the eve of a new year. We think we have a very interesting game for you. Two explosive teams who finished second in their respective conferences, finishing second only to the number 2 and number 3 ranked teams in the country in Alabama and Florida State. North Carolina State posted a 9-2-1 record, and they closed out the season playing the best football since Dick Sheridan has been in Raleigh, and he came there in 1986. If they win tonight, it would be a record 10 wins in a season for the Pack. And I think, Pat Hayden, it's safe to say this is Dick Sheridan's best team ever.
Well, Gary, it is his best team and best season because of his senior class. 17 fifth-year seniors. These guys have averaged 8 wins a season, and they go to their 5th consecutive bowl. Now, unless you're a college football aficionado, you might not realize that Dick Sheridan is one of college football's best coaches. 15th year as a head coach, 7th as a Wolfpack head coach. He has been successful every year, leading the Wolfpack to 6 bowl games. Now, there is a lot at stake for North Carolina State tonight. As you mentioned, they win the 10th game. Never has that been done in North Carolina State history. Secondly, a win, I think, would vault them into a top 10 ranking, which would be significant. But just as importantly, for the seniors, that has meant so much to Dick Sheridan's program, they want to go out with a win.
Florida, the defending SEC champions, got off to a 1-2 start. They lost 2 in a row. Steve Spurrier never lost 2 in a row since coming to Florida. But this team rallied. They won 7 in a row before losing to 3rd-ranked Florida State. They went to the inaugural SEC championship game in Birmingham to meet the Tide of Alabama. It was tied at 21, and Shane Matthews back to pass. Intercepted. Antonio Langham took it in, and the Tide won the SEC championship and moved on to the Sugar Bowl. And I guess, Pat Hayden, the question I would have is, how emotionally is Florida coming into this game?
Well, I think it's difficult to recover from a loss like that. There were such big game implications about it. But Steve Spurrier spent the last 2 weeks having very difficult 2-a-day practices, getting his team focused on this Gator Bowl. Now, Steve Spurrier is one of the real innovators in college football. And when he got the job in 1990 at Florida, people said to win in the SEC, you have to run the football. But he has been a contrarian because he has thrown the heck out of the ball. 69 games as a head coach, both at Duke and at Florida. His teams have averaged over 310 yards passing. They are fun to watch. They are entertaining, but they are difficult to defend.
Well, Steve Spurrier's never won a bowl game. He's 0 for 2. He lost 1 at Duke, and last year he lost the Sugar Bowl game to Notre Dame. So we're going to have this Gator Bowl coming your way. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll introduce you to another member of our broadcast team here from Jacksonville, Florida. Joining us on the broadcast near this sideline. Let's go down, and here's Craig Sager. Craig?
Well, the Gator Bowl may be sponsored by Outback, but the attention is on the quarterback, particularly Shane Matthews. Florida held its spring game here in 1990. Shane rode in as the 5th-string quarterback, and when his work was done, he rode back from whence he had come as the starter. 47 school records, 19 SEC marks have followed. He was 3-0 on this field against Georgia. Meanwhile, Terry Jordan is being called the other quarterback, but he deserves better billing. In the last 2 years, NC State was 12-3-1 with Terry Jordan as a starter. And among NCAA passing leaders, not only does he rank ahead of Shane Matthews, but also ahead of Miami's Gino Torretta, the Heisman Trophy winner. Shane Matthews and Terry Jordan, 2 outstanding college quarterbacks, concluding their collegiate careers right here in the Gator Bowl.
Craig, glad to have you with us, as right now you see North Carolina State coming on to the field. Their 5th straight bowl appearance. Ranked number 12 in the country. And finishing second to Florida State in the ACC. And here come the Gators, led out on the field by the only senior in the starting lineup, Shane Matthews. Ranked 15th, the Gators seeking their first bowl victory since 1988. The first for Steve Spurrier. We'll be back with the opening kickoff here from the 48th Annual Gator Bowl in just a moment. Jimmy Sixon, a junior out of Asheville, North Carolina, will get this underway. Back deep. It's going to be Harrison Houston and Larry Kennedy for the Gators. Crowd in the neighborhood of 70,000 plus on hand. A sixth guy with a short kick. It'll be Kennedy at the 15. Larry Kennedy out to the 25, and the Gators will set it up there. Shane Matthews, the SEC's all-time leading passer, comes on. His numbers for the year: very accurate passer, quick release, and he makes very good decisions in this complicated offense.
Well, you know, they don't have a lot of audibles because they don't really need them. They don't get blitzed that much, quite honestly, because they spread people out so much and they force the defense to adjust. But 3- and 5-step drops you'll see from Florida most of this evening.
From the 25, the first snap, and Matthews is changing the play. Back to throw on first down, and he completes it to his leading receiver, Willie Jackson. And Jackson out at the 30, a gain of 5. Let's look at this Florida offense. Very young offensive line. They have 2 true freshmen at the offensive tackle spots. Rhett, Randolph in the backfield. Houston, Jackson, outstanding wide receivers. Now, Reggie Green and Jason Odom are true freshmen. And Green missed only 1 snap this year on the offensive side of the play. Second down and 5. Hand off to Rhett. Rhett has a first down to the 37-yard line. The Gators have the initial first down of the game as Damian Covington made the stop for State. We mentioned this defense. It's very good. Up front, Aikens, Logo, and Reeves. Reeves set a record this year for sacks for North Carolina State. Merritt led the ACC in average tackles per game. And Reed, along with Savage, were all ACC picks. Play action, they'll do a lot of that. As Matthews not able to make the connection at the 49-yard line. Willie Jackson, the intended receiver.
Gary, the key to this football game will be Florida's ability to run the draw play. Now, it is their most successful running play because they are a passing team. And if they're able to run the draw play, it sets up all their passes. So that is really the key tonight. Can North Carolina stop the draw, or can Florida run the draw?
Second down and 10 just across the 35-yard line. The initial series of the Gator Bowl. Single running back is Rhett. Matthews over the middle, intended for freshman Jack Jackson, number 1. He is their fastest wide receiver. It'll bring up a third down.
Let's look at this North Carolina State defense and how Florida's going to try to attack it. You see the 2 deep safeties. Well, Florida's going to try to attack a couple zones. One right in here, out here in the corner areas, and then they'll throw the backs right here. Makes it incredibly difficult on linebackers. The linebackers are going to be the key tonight defensively for North Carolina State.
Florida this year, 40.7% on third down. Third down 10. Matthews, that's too long. Intended on the near side for Aubrey Hill, and they're going to have to punt the football. So after picking up 1 first down, North Carolina State stops the initial series of the Gators.
That's Buddy Green, the defensive coordinator from North Carolina State, and he's done a terrific job. He said, all I'm interested is in scoring defense. They led the ACC in scoring defense. I don't care about first downs or big plays or drives. I just want to keep people out of the end zone. And his defensive philosophy is just that. They'll start blitzing once you pass the 50-yard line.
Shane Edge will punt to this guy, Liddell George. George coming up. No fair catch at the 30-yard line. Nice move to the 35. And the Wolfpack will have the ball for the first time. 35-yard punt by Edge. A 6-yard return by George. So Terry Jordan will take his first snap. Very strong arm and completed almost 60% of his passes career-wise, 64% this year. And Pat, the one thing he's had to work with is being too hard on himself. He really, when he makes a mistake, really let that suffer and let that bother him from some time.
Well, certainly that has been his history. I think he's shown a lot more maturity this year, and he hasn't let the mistakes bother him as long as he did in years past.
Neil Lauer, the tight end in motion, pitch back to Anthony Barber, and Barber led the ACC in average carry. First for 16 yards. He's all the way to the 49-yard line of Florida, first down. Well, you just saw Barber. Maynor, the fullback, the two of them together had over 1,800 yards rushing. Griffiths and Lawrence, the wideouts, and Auer, they feel, has been the best tight end they've had. Taylor, Johnson, Ward, G is an all-ACC pick, and Hageman, a redshirt freshman, is a monster at right tackle. Jordan comes out throwing behind the intended receiver, Barber, inside the 35-yard line. It'll bring up a second down.
Florida plays an unusual blitzing, penetrating type of defense. Very good defensive line with Carter at one end and Mark Campbell at the other.
Carter was a second-team all-SEC pick. Miles, 147 tackles this year. Kennedy and Hatch. Now, Hatch is going for Del Spear, who's out with a shoulder problem. Second and 10, straight ahead. Maynor, the fullback, maybe a yard.
Well, Gary, Dick Sheridan was saying about this Florida defense, they can create a lot of negative plays. I mean, it's hard to get into a rhythm against this Gator defense. And he said it's important for us to start this game. We need to ease into it. We don't want any negative plays early in this game, a sack, a turnover. So even if you have to punt the ball, ease into it, but no negative plays.
Third down and 9. The Wolfpack 41.1% on third down conversions this year. The option, Jordan comes back to Barber, and Barber's going to be short of the first down. Stopped a couple of yards short. Larry Kennedy, the cornerback, up to make the stop. They're going to have to punt the football.
That is a heck of a stop by Larry Kennedy, number 3, the cornerback of the Gators. I mean, he had a body on him, a big body, and this is a defensive back. He threw him away on the option play and was able to make the tackle. So a terrific stop there by Larry Kennedy, forces the punt.
They feel he could be the best that's ever worn the blue and orange of Florida. As back to punt football is Tim Kilpatrick, second team all-ACC. Monty Duncan back deep for the Gators. Good snap. It's a very high, but he got too much of it. It's going to make it into the end zone for the touchback. 43-yard punt, and Florida will have the ball for the second time at the 20-yard line. No score at the 48th Annual Gator Bowl. The Wolfpack and the Gators. After the punt for the touchback from the 20, Florida. There's a handoff this time, and it's going to be run straight ahead by Rhett. Rhett across the 35 to the 37, and Tyler Lawrence there to make the stop for NC State.
The North Carolina State team, there's Buddy Green, the defensive coordinator, who really has done a terrific job with this Wolfpack defense. But he said, hey, we decided we're not going to have any defensive huddles this year. He said, I saw so many guys running back and forth to the huddle. I thought they were getting tired. So his whole defense really just kind of turns to him, and he signals in the defense to all 11.
Second down and 5. Rhett trying to get the first down. He's got it. Good second effort. This guy is so tough between the tackles. He's like a bull as he brings it out to the 45-yard line. He already has gained 25 yards in this game. First down.
Yeah, the left guard and left tackle there, Reggie Green and Dean Golden, do a nice job. You see number 78, he pushes his man out. Dean Golden, the left guard, pushes his man out, create a nice little seam there for Rhett to slip into.
You forget he weighs 211 pounds. First down at the 45. Give to Rhett. Rhett right side, bounces off the people, pumping the legs. That's what we're talking about, is how tough he is. He just moved the pile to the 30-yard line, a gain of almost 8 yards on the play. This guy is 6 foot, 211-pounder, the third leading rusher in Gator history with yet another year to go. So now Judd Davis, who missed earlier from 32, will attempt one from 37 yards this time. Out of the hold of Shane Edge, and that ball doesn't look good, and it's not.
That may have been blocked or tipped.
So he's 0 for 2, and the Gators have really let 2 excellent opportunities get away from them.
Well, North Carolina State is just kind of hanging around. Buddy Green says, I'm interested in scoring defense. And even though Florida's gotten very good field position the last 2 series, their defense has kind of hung in there.
So Spurrier's team has missed a field goal at the 6:45 mark, and now at the 2:12 mark. North Carolina will take it at the 20-yard line. Maynor and Barber in the I formation. Jordan back. He's going to be rushed and hit and dumped. Bill Gunner was there. Oh, did Gunner, the senior, hit him? And looked like Jordan had time to throw, but all of a sudden Gunner, number 93, came rolling up the middle.
Think about this Florida defensive front. Is you can block them for a while, but they don't stay blocked. You see, it looks like pretty good protection right there. The coverage was there, and then Gunter, number 93, comes off the block. So if that's the case, what do you need? These draws, screens, traps, quick passes.
And protection. 2nd down and 7, and they're not going to get the snap, as that will end our first quarter. So, after 1 quarter of play here at the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville, Dick Sheridan's team has survived a couple of missed field goals, and we have no score. Well, Pat, I guess missed opportunities. Steve Spurrier probably saying, we can't let this get away from us.
Well, it wasn't just the field goals. They missed some touchdown passes. They had some real opportunities here in this first quarter. The first, remember the corner pass they threw on the outside. It was the first one to Aubrey Hill, number 82. Now, Shane Matthews had him. I think Matthews thought he was going to run more of an out route, and Hill ran kind of a corner route. But that was one missed touchdown. A little bit later in a different drive, Shane Matthews to Houston on the corner route was open there, but overthrew him. So they missed those 2 opportunities. It could be a 14-0 game. Instead, we have a 0-0 score.
You know, I guess the question you have is, since playing that last game, can you lose some of that rhythm, some of the timing as a quarterback?
In a passing game, yes, you can, Gary. I think it's much easier to get back into the flow when you're a running team. More difficult when you're a finesse and a throwing team as Florida is.
Here we start the 2nd quarter. North Carolina State with a 2nd and 7. Jordan on the option, and it's stacked up. A lot of blue shirts in the vicinity of the 42-yard line. He tried to go wide, and they're trying now to get that option going. The one thing that Steve Spurrier kept saying is we watch tapes. In every game, North Carolina State has something a little different for you to defense.
Yeah, and you have to prepare for all those things. I mean, there's Dick Sheridan. We talked about how good a coach he is. I mean, he actually looks like the kind of guy that knows how to operate his VCR. I mean, unlike you, Gary.
Film anymore, right?
I'm still trying to program my VCR. That's my New Year's resolution. I'm going to learn how to get that flashing 12 out of there.
Well, that's encouraging. A Rhodes Scholar can't do that. 3rd down and 8. Jordan up the field, and the catch is made by Ray Griffiths. Nope, no, it is not. He had it for a moment. Good coverage on the near side. Ray Griffiths almost came up with a catch at the 48-yard line.
I'll tell you, it was terrific coverage by Lawrence Hatch, number 18, who's actually the third corner, but is starting tonight. I mean, he reacted quickly. The thing about the Florida defensive backs is you may be open for a while, but you're not going to be open long because they have tremendous, and I mean tremendous, catch-up and make-up speed.
Hatch is starting because Del Spear is out. Monty Duncan back to receive the punt from Kilpatrick on a 4th down. Duncan from the 10. Brings it out short of the 20-yard line and is dropped there. So with no score as we've started the 2nd quarter, that was a 48-yard punt, a 9-yard return. And let's go back to the sideline, and here's Craig Sager.
Well, Gary, Steve Spurrier may have unretired his number 11, also the number of John Brantley, but he did want to pay tribute and honor the 6 members of the University of Florida family who died in a plane crash on the way to the SEC Championship game against Alabama. So before tonight's game, he had the equipment manager put a number 6 decal on each of the helmets. All the players honoring those 6 at tonight's Gator Bowl.
Wow, that brings some things into perspective. Here's a little shovel pass to Rhett, and Rhett brings it out to the 30 for a 1st down. You know, they scored on a play like that against Alabama in the SEC championship game. That little shovel pass forward, an 11-yard gain on the play.
And it's the functional equivalent of the draw play, which we said is the key for this Florida attack. And it's a funny little pitch by Shane Matthews. And you're right, they ran it, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 times against Alabama in that championship game. Virtually every time successfully.
First down now. Again, excellent field position for the Gators. Matthews over the middle. The completion is made to the 25-yard line. That's the tight end again, Greg Keller, the junior out of New Orleans. 17-yard gain to the 25.
This has been a game of field position thus far. Florida, 3 of their last 4 drives have started in North Carolina State territory. And that time, the tight end, Greg Keller, did a real nice job of just finding that area right behind those linebackers. And when you run the draw successfully, you run the ball inside, there's going to be some area behind linebackers.
Keller and also his backup Charlie Dean were effective against Alabama catching the ball. First down at the 25. Matthews being flushed out, being chased by Tyler Lawrence, and he'll go out of bounds in the vicinity of the 23-yard line.
Well, that looked like he was going to have a big play there. Didn't it look like he was going to be able to scramble for a lot of yards, but Tyler Lawrence, number 58 of the Wolfpack, really took a terrific angle and forced him out of bounds out of a short game. This is a guy, Tyler Lawrence, you mentioned earlier. He's had a big season for them, and he has done it in a lot of ways. In the running game, he's got some speed in the passing game. They'll also use him as a pass rusher. He'll become a defensive tackle in some nickel situations.
1 of 2 all ACC picks at linebacker. Second down and 8, a gain of 2. Matthews now changing the play. 4 seconds on the play clock, and he didn't call the right play, obviously, because Covington coming through. Now we have a flag. It may have been blown dead before the snap of the ball.
I think the time clock may have expired.
Well, I looked up and it had 4, I thought, about the time he was ready to take the snap. Let's see. Ron Winter, our referee. It's the first flag of the game, by the way.
Good ball. False start. Offense. Second down.
Yeah, I thought they had the ball snapped in time because I remember looking at the play clock.
Well, here's why you had the false start, because everybody's worried about this blitz in here and some of these men coming in. When you see a linebacker up there that close to the line of scrimmage, sometimes you can get a little nervous. Well-timed blitz by Covington, and this is what Buddy Green's defense will do. Once you get into scoring territory, they're going to come after you. They're going to blitz, and that means it gives you some opportunities in the throwing game.
Second and 13 after the penalty. Matthews connect. Aubrey make that Willie Jackson to the 15, to the 10, and they get all that yardage back and then some. First and goal. A 19-yard gain on the play.
Willie Jackson was saying that Shane Matthews puts the ball right where you can catch it, and so you can do something with it after the catch.
Willie Jackson's dad played also for the Gators. In fact, he was one of the first black athletes to play at the University of Florida and wore the same number for the Gators. First and goal at the 9. Matthews over the middle, time pattern intended for Jackson. He got hung up that time, and Willie could not clear. He thinks maybe he was held up, and it'll bring up a second and goal.
Let's go back to the previous play, and we just talk about matchups. And what you like is a wide receiver right here is Jackson against a linebacker right there. That is number 36, Damian Covington. Because if you have a matchup like that and you throw the ball on time, you're going to have plays like that. And that's what Florida's offense does. It's well designed because they force a lot of one-on-one matchups.
Second and goal from 9. Well, we got some fog moving in here. Back to throw. Matthews out of the back. He just got rid of it. He had pressure coming that time from Keith Battle, a linebacker. Third and goal now as North Carolina State stiffening inside the 10.
Yeah, I can't say enough about this North Carolina State defense and what Buddy Green, the defensive coordinator, has done, because they have been under duress and pressure virtually this entire first half. But they've blitzed down here. He said, once we get down to scoring territory, we're going to blitz. Earlier it was Damian Covington. That play was an outside linebacker, Keith Battle.
There's the fog. You know, Shane Matthews has already thrown 23 passes. And we are in the second quarter with 8.5 minutes left. Third and goal. Pressure coming, gets rid of it again, far side, and the catch is incomplete. No, Charlie Dean, the tight end, came back, tried to roll up with it in the end zone, and so they have been denied 6 points. They're going to have to settle for the field goal.
Well, the blitz has worked again for the Wolfpack. But it really was a terrific throw by Shane Matthews because he was under a lot of pressure. Hung in there, threw it, took the hit, and his receiver had a chance to make the catch.
Boy, that's good coverage, though, isn't it? Covington, the linebacker?
Yeah, that may have been pass interference.
So this will be a 26-yard field goal attempt. Already missing from 32 and 37 has been Davis. Trying to get on the scoreboard. This kick is on the way, and he got it. So after missing his first two, the Gators have scored first. 8:26 to go in the second quarter of play. And at the Gator Bowl, the Gators lead it 3-0. So now, kicking off will be the Gators after that 26-yard field goal. Covington keeping them out of there touchdown-wise. And this fog now is really starting to close in on the Gator Bowl. It's been foggy all week long. The sun broke through about 3 hours ago, but it's not going to come back tomorrow, it doesn't look like. Here's a kickoff now to Aubrey Shaw, and Shaw with a flag thrown, able to get out to the 27-yard line. Our producer, Peter Lasser, telling us that they had fog so bad here they could hardly see anything in the air, anything that was kicked.
Yeah, 1981 game, all the punts were lost. I guess call out a fair catches in those kind of games, right?
I'll send you down on the sideline if it gets that bad, and we'll just have you describe the action from there.
And I'll look back up and say, Gary, you've never looked better.
Hand off to Barber. Barber, that cutback ability across the 45 to the 46-yard line. Barber this year averaged 6.1 per carry. Last year, 6.2. Went over 1,200 yards rushing.
And you know, when you have a 1,200-yard rusher, you generally have a 1,200-yard blockers as well, working on Reggie Lawrence. But Dick Sheridan said that the thing that he was most happy about with this team, as it turned out, was how well his offensive line played.
Second down 3 now for NC State. 3-0 Florida. 7.5 minutes to go in the first half. Jordan over the middle. It's complete. Ryan Schultz, the tight end. First down to the 31-yard line of Florida. A 23-yard completion to Schultz, who caught only 7 passes in the regular season of play.
That's the kind of play we're talking about in a big play. It was a 2 tight end set. It's an adjustment by North Carolina State. They haven't been running too much 2 tight end this game, but a little seam pass by the tight end, Ryan Schultz, comes off the tight end. A good read and a nice touch pass by Terry Jordan over the linebacker.
Hand off to Barber. Barber straight ahead, able to take it to the 27-yard line. So North Carolina State, after that completion and the penalty, now moving the football for the first time as Ed Robinson, the inside linebacker, makes the stop for the Gators.
Well, Dick Sheridan's team has thrown the ball once outside to Reggie Lawrence. They've thrown the tight end to the tight end Schultz once. They've run the ball a couple of times to Anthony Barber. And because of that diversity, that's why this drive has been successful. 2nd and 6,
only the second time that State's been in the Florida end of the field. The option, the ball comes loose, and the Gators have it. That is Johnny Church, the true freshman out of Fort Myers, Florida. So they were optioning the fullback, and they never made the exchange.
Well, when you run a true triple option, which North Carolina State does, you're never exactly sure whether you're going to give it to the fullback or not. And if you're going to have some exchange problems in a triple option, it's usually with the first option, the fullback. And I'm not sure Terry Jordan was certain whether he was going to give the ball to him or not. Takes it away, and the ball is an easy recovery for Johnny Church.
At the 28 now, the Gators. Johnny Church didn't start because he missed some practices. But a true freshman, what a player he's going to be. And Rhett comes flying out of there to the 40-yard line. And I tell you, Pat, the fog is starting to become a little bit of a problem here.
It's not coming in on little cat feet. It's coming on big old hooves. It's coming in.
First down at the 40. Well, I guess you're not going anywhere tomorrow, right? You're just going to stay here for a while. Celebrate the new year. First down now at the 46.5-yard line. Matthews giving straight ahead to play play action fake. Instead, pulls it out, throws down the field, and it's complete to Trey Everett, and he goes out of bounds to the 15, and I was completely faked out on that. A 31-yarder.
Well, you were faked out because, A, the fog moving in, number one. It's hard to, we're a long way from the field. And number two, they've set up that play action pass by running the draw play. Here's the play after the draw fake to number 5, Trey Everett, who ran that corner pattern. One of they're a great corner and post team, perhaps some of the best corner and post runners as receivers in college football.
31-yard pass completion just short of the 15-yard line. Matthews again changing the play. Back to throw. Being flushed out. He gets it off. It's complete to Charlie Dean, diving for the goal line. He's just short. It'll be first and goal there. Charlie Dean, a junior. A guy who started 3 games this year and had 2 catches against Alabama in that SEC championship game. First and goal.
We talk about receivers having a feel. Here's Charlie Dean, the tight end, right there. It's just a little delay to him. And Shane Matthews is using the entire field and using all of the receivers, his backs, his tight ends, and his wideouts.
First and goal. No, not there at all. Not able. Shane Matthews trying to sneak it forward. You know, I watched Matthews on sneaks earlier this year. He really has not gotten that kind of running done up the middle. He's not that big a guy. He's tall, but only weighs about 190 pounds. And boy, they stuffed that one.
He's built kind of like a one-iron.
A one-iron?
He's 6'3", 194 pounds. But he is, we talked about him using different receivers. 6 different receivers he has used thus far in the first half.
8 of them caught at least 15 passes this season. Second and goal, diving forward, and Rhett not able to get in. He was hit in midair. What a collision. David Merritt denied him 6 points. What a collision in midair.
You know, Buddy Green, the defensive coordinator, said, we don't appreciate David Merritt enough because he can play passing downs and short yardage plays like this. A perfectly timed jump by Merritt. I tell you, the defensive line did a good job there.
Did they ever?
Yeah, the defensive line created really an opening to allow David Merritt to make the play. So good penetration allowed both linebackers to step up.
We have a man down, and we'll try to pick up who that is as soon as possible. It's going to bring up a 3rd and goal. They may have lost some yardage. It's Rhett, the guy who tried to take it in. It is really getting foggy here. And I don't know how it looks on TV, but it looks worse in real time than it does on TV. Real time. What's real time? In real life, I guess I'm trying to say. 3rd and goal now at the 1. Willie Jackson comes in. Also Harrison Houston. 3rd and goal. Randolph, the single running back. 3 wideouts. And Matthews takes it in. Touchdown, Florida. And so the Gators, after taking a 3-0 lead, have now moved it to 9-0.
It was a good drive by the Gators, Gary. I mean, they ran some draws. They threw the ball to the tight end. They used the wide receivers. And they get the touchdown on the quarterback sneak, but there was a lot of different elements involved in that drive.
Point after attempt now coming up. Judd Davis out of the hold of edge. It's interesting, the crowd had a late reaction to the touchdown. They're not seeing that very well either. As point after attempt now by Davis. 3:46 left in the first half. And the kick is up. And it is good, and we got some pushing and shoving going on, and we have a flag. 2-3 flags. And so it's a 10-0 game. Upsetting penalties. We'll be back. 3:46 to go in a very foggy first half of play. It's going to have fog the rest of the night. In fact, they made an announcement here on the PA a while ago. The good news is, folks, it's not going to snow. The bad news is it's going to get foggy. Kickoff this time. Taken on the near side by Aubrey Shaw for the Wolfpack, and he spins his way to the 29-yard line. There's the drive. After that turnover, they wasted no time. First down from the 25. Jordan, a completion to the 30-yard line to Aubrey Shaw, is an excellent receiver. In fact, he's led the running backs in receiving the last 3 years. Gets it out to the 33-yard line. It'll be second down and 3.
One thing about college football, particularly with this fog, you think about it, is the ball itself has white stripes on it. So you can see it a little better as a receiver, unlike professional football.
Yeah. 10-0 the Gators. Jordan throwing to the far side, incomplete. Intended receiver was Neil Auer, the tight end. So when Steve Spurrier has led at halftime as coach of the Gators, he is 25-1, and he has a 10-0 lead at the halfway point. Let's go to Craig Sager.
All right, Gary, we mentioned you're 25-1 going to the locker room with a lead at halftime, but what are your thoughts in the first half?
Well, hopefully we can throw and catch a little bit better than we did this half. State's played well defensively. Our defense has been sensational. Hopefully we can keep playing that way and take care of the ball and just keep playing and throw and catch a little better.
Throw and catch even with this fog?
Well, it's not real bad. It's a beautiful night to throw and catch. We've not done it very well.
Okay, Steve Spurrier with a 10-0 lead. Let's go back to Gary.
You didn't explain to him, Craig, what's happening here as far as the weather is concerned. You want another explanation of that. But 10-0, North Carolina State's got to get something going offensively. 98 yards in the first half.
Yeah, and we've talked about it. The only drive they had really in the first half, they had the fumble. They had the fumble, which really had a problem. So what they're going to have to do is come up with a big play, I think, in the passing game. You cannot run the ball with any consistency.
Okay, Craig Sagers with Dick Sheridan. Let's join him right now.
Okay, thank you very much, Coach. They're talking in the booth about the fact you get an offensive drive going, get something going here in the second half.
We've got to. We've not kept the ball away from their offense. We've gotten down in scoring position only one time, and we fumbled the ball. And we can't continue to do that. We're going to have to put some points on the board in this half. We just got to execute a lot better on offense, both the running game and the passing game. Third down plays are hurting us.
With the fog, does that affect your strategy in any way whatsoever, the passing?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. They can see okay.
Okay, good luck.
All right, thanks.
Gary?
All right, they were 2 of 8 on third down conversions, and he mentioned that turnover. That set up the only touchdown of the game. There's the 98 yards we're talking about, and the big turnover. At that stage, it looked like a Wolfpack was getting it underway. They were going to really march the ball.
Yeah, but they did turn the ball over. And Florida, on the other hand, they've had some opportunities. We talked about, and Steve Spurrier said right before halftime, hey, we had to pitch and catch better, throw and catch better. They've had some receivers open for touchdowns, and they weren't able to convert 2 of those opportunities in the first quarter.
Well, if you're Dick Sheridan, what can you get going offensively? They have not been able to run the ball very effectively.
Well, Gary, I think what has to happen, if your offense is not getting it done, your defense, your special teams, you need to have something in the return game, and it starts right here, the kickoff return. The kickoff return for the Wolfpack. Give your offense an opportunity to open it up a little bit, but you're not going to drive the ball 80 yards, so you need a screen pass, somebody to take a 5-yard screen and turn it into 50 yards, some kind of play like that.
Well, when we came to the ballpark at 6 o'clock in sunny Florida, it looked very nice, didn't it? Beautiful weather.
Beautiful for evening.
And now we're going to show you sequential shots, and as time elapsed, our visibility was deterred a little bit. And there it is at halftime, and now you're looking live from the Gator Bowl. I don't know if you can see a lot, but you are looking live. Florida will kick off with a 10-0 lead. Barber waiting for it, has it at the 7-yard line. Anthony Barber out to the 20, 25, and gets some good field position to the 27. Terry Jordan had a tough time in that first half, sacked on 3 different occasions, suffered the fumble, and now he hopes to get this thing going.
Well, you look at some of the key players for North Carolina State. Their best runner is Barber. He only carried 7 times, and you're going to have to get the ball in his hands. The best receiver is Eddie Goins. He only had 1 catch. Now, a lot of that is because of Florida's defense. But if they're going to win this game, they have to get it in those 2 players' hands.
Barber and Maynor in the backfield in the I formation, and it's going to be Anthony Barber trying to bounce outside, and the blue shirts are there. Carlton Miles, who you saw that feature at halftime on him, was there first. He is such a leader. They were talking, Pat, last year he got hurt in the Sugar Bowl, hurt his back, and the team just kind of fell down a notch or 2. They missed his leadership.
Yeah, and the thing about Carlton Miles is he is always around the football. 142 tackles on the year, the 7th tackle of tonight. Again, what he does is he was telling us he reads the back formation, then to the offensive lineman's block, and then he just reacts and makes the tackle.
Loss of 2, 2nd and 12. That was his 7th tackle of the game, and that ball is not going to be a connection. Liddell George, the intended receiver, the junior out of Havelock, North Carolina. So it's going to make up 3rd down and 12, and Sheridan needs to get something going here at the start of this second half of play.
Well, the problem has been Florida has taken away the consistent run. They've also put on a very good pass rush, and Terry Jordan's been under duress most of the game. So it's going to have a receiver's going to have to take some sort of short pass and do it on his own.
You see what they've been doing on 3rd downs thus far, 2 of 8. Jordan trying to set up a screen over the middle. Catch is made to the 25 by Neil Auer, and Auer will be considerably short of the 1st down. In fact, they're not back to the original line of scrimmage. It's 4th down and a yard to go. That was Miles again, and Gunner, the senior. Such a young football team, only 11 seniors in the top 44. They played 13 true freshmen this year. And of course, Miles is one of those seniors that gives them the leadership. Kilpatrick, the punt to Monty Duncan. 10-0, just underway, second half. Duncan looking into that fog, takes it at the 31-yard line. He gets to the picket line to the 40. He'll be knocked down short of the 45.
You know, Gary, you mentioned how young this Florida team is. I think it's going to be a top 5 preseason team next year. It was this year a little bit overrated, but you see what they have. Only 3 seniors on the starting offensive defensive depth chart. 7 of this year's starters are freshmen or sophomores, including their 2 offensive tackles. You know, Shea Matthews was saying, geez, I wish I could play behind this offensive line for a couple more years.
This may be the heir apparent to Matthews. Terry Dean, a sophomore out of Naples, Florida. They have a redshirt freshman they're excited about, too, Danny Werfel. Hand off to Rhett, and Rhett had 110 yards in total offense in the first half. Brings it out to the 47. Tyler Lawrence has made a lot of tackles for NC State. Makes a stop there. It'll bring up a 2nd down and 6.
You know, what Errict Rhett did have the big first half, and there hasn't been a lot of penetration by this Wolfpack defense. And what that means is the offensive line for Florida has done a very nice job. Reggie Green on the left side, the freshman tight end. I mean, Steve Spurrier said when they saw him in high school, they projected him as a starter as a freshman.
Rhett got the 1st down, breaking tackles all the way to the 40-yard line of State. David Merritt catches up with him, a 12-yard gain. You know, a lot of people had thought that maybe Rhett would come out early, but he was slowed this year with an ankle. And the last 4 weeks, he said he's healthy, so he's going to stay his senior year for Florida and have a better year yet.
And you see the hole that he had. And again, we just talk about offensive line. When you have 1,000-yard runners, you have 1,000-yard blockers, and that's what Florida's had this game. It's some very good blocking.
Rhett again, and Rhett this time moving the pile forward close to the 35. Covington on the stop. Covington and Merritt and Lawrence, the 3 linebackers, making a lot of stops. I don't think we've called that defensive line's name hardly all night. Reeves or Logo or Akins, 3 very good football players.
Well, but the problem, of course, Gary, is this defense has been on this field a long, long time. And it takes a lot more energy to play defense. That's why coaches are always concerned about how long the defense is on the field.
2nd down and 5, just short of the 35. Hand off to Rhett. They fake the pitch, and Rhett inside the 30. And he'll have another 1st down. Tyler Lawrence again on the stop. And this is a very methodical drive. It's the Errict Rhett drive. You want to be truthful about it. He has been the workhorse on this particular series.
And on that run, Reggie Green, the freshman tackle, number 78, you can see him come to the picture. N62 there. Dean Golden, the guard, is 78 and 62. The 2 left linemen, the guard and the tackle, just did a terrific job of locking their guys up, sealing them in, and then Rhett saw the little soft spots to the corner.
Boy, it is really getting thick down there now. Here's Rhett running around in the backfield inside the 30. Nice ad-lib effort to the 26-yard line. Covington over to make the stop as we approach 11 minutes to go in this 3rd quarter. 10-0, the Gators. Rhett now 18 carries, 93 yards. He had a remarkable game against Kentucky this year. The first game of the year, had 193 yards. Second down, 8 from the 26-yard line of NC State. Matthews on a play action, rolling to the near side, and the catch is made by Keller. Keller's been one of his favorite targets as he goes out of bounds very close to the first down. They're going to mark it at the 17. It is a first down.
Remember we were talking about Shane Matthews throwing an easy ball to catch? I mean, he throws the tight spiral, as you're going to see him roll right to you, and he puts it right in front of the receiver, this time the tight end Keller. Now that's when you have an easy ball to catch. This is the definition of one. He didn't drill it. Lots of time to look and find the receiver, but right in the numbers of the tight end Keller.
Keller has 3 catches now for 38 yards, and Matthews is changing the play at the line of scrimmage. Oh, far side, and I can't see it. Who is it?
Did they call a touchdown?
I guess so. It's going to be Willie Jackson, but they just disappeared in the fog bank on the far coffin corner, an 18-yard strike. I don't think very many people saw it. Jackson in the extreme corner coming up with it.
The field judge did a nice job, though. The field judge was right there to call the touchdown. A fade route to Willie Jackson. Started with protection, was the audible by Matthews. The throw over the top, he had beat them easily by putting a quick inside move. He throws it to the outside and lets the receiver run away from the defensive back. Good throw.
16-0. The Gators point after attempt. Up and through for Davis. Well, Willie Jackson had 8 touchdown catches in the regular season. 57-yard drive. 70-0, Florida. Well, we have 10:27 left in the third. It's 17-0. The Gators on a 17-yard strike from Matthews to Willie Jackson. Kickoff will go to Shaw, and he'll go to a knee. They'll bring it out to the 20.
Gary, let's go back to that touchdown. And nothing makes a quarterback feel better than when he audibles to a touchdown. And that's what Shane Matthews did. This was an audible. And it was a perfectly timed and a touch throw. And it was that easy ball to catch as well. He throws it away from the defender out in front of Willie Jackson and allows him to separate from the defender when he goes and gets the ball.
Jackson led the SEC in catches and touchdowns. From the 20 now, Terry Jordan. Trailing 17-0. Play action. And complete to Lawrence, and Lawrence brings it out to the 30, very close to the first down.
Good defense tonight by Florida. It's caused some problems for North Carolina State's offense. You see the season average. Terry Jordan, the quarterback, in yards per game, 164, only 57 tonight. Barber is a 100-yard rusher on average, only 41. Possession, they must score a touchdown. I mean, you can't come away with just a field goal attempt. They need 7 points.
Second down, 8 at the 8:25 mark of the third quarter. 17-0 Florida. Jordan over the middle. Auer, the tight end, and he's got it at the 5. First and goal.
A heck of a throw, a touch pass, and a catch by Auer when you know you're going to get hit.
Well, they said they've never had a tight end play any better than Auer, one of the co-captains for the Wolfpack.
The pre-snap read by Terry Jordan, you could see it in his eyes. You could see where he was going to deliver that ball. He read the coverage perfectly, and then he threw the ball to the tight end.
First and goal from the 5. Jordan getting ahead to Maynor, and there's just nothing there. He was on that option to the fullback, pulled it out, and Maynor was hit by Ellis Johnson. Also Carter was there, Kevin Carter, and they're going to mark the ball. Let's see where they're going to mark it. Just about at the line of scrimmage. Second and goal from there.
If you're going to score against this Florida defense, I believe it's either going to be in the pass, or if you're going to run the option, it's got to get to the outside. Very tough to run inside with those inside linebackers of Florida.
They've actually moved the ball closer to the 6, so it'll be second and goal. Jordan wanting to throw, near corner, Goins, and the ball's incomplete. Eddie Goins with Lawrence Hatch One-on-one coverage on the near sideline. And Hatch, a junior college transfer, starting in place of the injured Del Spear.
Same kind of play that Florida scored on a moment ago. A little fade pattern, but right at the last moment, I think Hatch got his hand up to knock it away. I mean, the corners, he knocked it away twice. The corners here for Florida have played remarkably well. In the passing game, as you just saw there from Lawrence Hatch, and also in the run support game.
Hatch and Kennedy, the corners you're talking about. 3rd and goal. Shaw comes in motion. Jordan, throwback, far side. Lawrence, the intended receiver, but covered very well by Kennedy. 4th down.
Now they're going to go for the field goal attempt because they had no rhythm there at all on any of 3 of those plays.
Boy, they went from sideline to sideline, did they? One corner to the other, and Florida was equal to it.
Well, remember they tried the fullback plunge first. Florida stuffs that for a 1-yard loss. Then they throw left. That's knocked away by Lawrence Hatch. They try a delay to the right. So any way you look at it, Ron Zook's defense did a good job there.
Steve Viditic will come in, a 23-yard attempt. 14 of 22, as you can see, for the year. Viditic's kick is on the way, and the kick is good. So State is on the scoreboard. 7:08, 3rd quarter. Florida's lead has been cut, but they still lead it 17-3. Welcome to sunny Florida, Jacksonville, Florida. As we end this year of 1992, this is not the kind of weather the Chamber of Commerce in Jacksonville would like to see.
You know, I was talking to some bowl people here at halftime. They've had 3 or 4 games like this with a lot of fog.
You weren't here for those, though?
No, I don't remember. I don't think so.
That's an inside joke. Anyway, kicking off now is 6-eye, and the kick is fielded, being run by Jack Jackson, and he'll bring it out to the 35, where they'll start this drive.
You know, Steve Spurrier really does strive for balance, and you're seeing a lot of that with Errict Rhett. They had a 3,000-yard passer this year, a 900-yard rusher in Rhett. 2 players caught at least 55 passes.
No gain on that last play. They give to Rhett running the far side, and looks like he got the first down. He needed 3 yards as he goes out of bounds inside the 40-yard line. Well, Spurrier's had a lot of weapons. They have done so many things well. And the success, winning the SEC championship a year ago, getting into the SEC inaugural championship game this year, and with such a young team. But does it bode well? First down, line of scrimmage, the 41-yard line. Rhett again. Boy, is he getting a workout. Inside the 35 to the 34. Pickup of 7 yards on the play.
You know, Errict Rhett is not, maybe he's not going to outrun a lot of people. He doesn't maybe have that breakaway type of speed, but in a small area, even with a number of defenders around him, he's able to move enough to pick up 4 or 5 yards. He can make 6 yards out of 2. I think that's a sign of a very good back.
118 yards now for Rhett. Second down, 3 yards to go. Number 33 again. This time a lot of congestion as he goes inside the 35. Keith Battle made the stop there. Florida, 15th ranked coming into this game. Unbeaten at home. Also coming in here earlier this year to beat the Georgia Bulldogs in that annual affair. In fact, Florida's won the last 3 games against Georgia here in the Gator Bowl. Charlie Dean, by the way, is back into the football game, so he's able to shake off the injury. Third down 3. Rhett's got the first down inside the 25.
You're looking at some domination by the offensive line right now, the Florida Gators. And a very tired, I think, North Carolina State defense. And this has been a drive that's featured Errict Rhett and the offensive linemen.
In fact, in this drive, 8 plays, all of them by Rhett.
And you see that the gaping holes there. I mean, the offensive linemen are sticking on their blocks. They're not letting any Wolfpack defenders slide off the blocks, and that's why Rhett has had a terrific drive here.
Randolph and Rhett in the backfield. First down just inside the 25. Matthews, well, why throw when you're running so well, huh? And he pays for that one. Akins was in there, and that's the first time John Akins has been a factor. He played so well this year. He had 4 sacks and 17 hurries, and that's a loss of 10 yards. So John Akins.
Well, here's Akins right here. He's number 96. He's going to come up on the outside. Both inside linebackers are blitzing. That frees up the tackle Akins. A well-designed blitz. And Matthews had called an audible. He was trying to get something off in a quick throw, but the 2 linebackers and the defensive tackle prevented it.
Second down and 20 now as we go inside. 2 minutes left in the third. Here is a draw. Delayed handoff to Rhett. And Rhett will take it to the 31. Got some of it back. Covington yet on the stop.
In the first half, Florida threw 29 passes. This half, they've only thrown 3. So it's been a complete different game plan for Steve Spurrier this second half. The weather maybe had something to do with that. Certainly the 17-0 lead at that point had something to do with it. 17-3 now.
Third down and 17. Nobody in the backfield. 4 wideouts, 3 to the top of the field. Matthews being flushed out by Akins. And on the far side, the catch is made by Jack Jackson. And his forward progress will be at the 25-yard line.
That was another one of those innovative sets of Steve Spurrier's, the no-back situation. Now, with the no-back situation, people try to blitz that or like to blitz it. And I actually thought that Shane Matthews didn't have to scramble us when he could have stepped up inside the rush of 96 Akins, but he chose to go outside and roll away from the pressure and get the ball to number 1 Jack Jackson.
Judd Davis, who's missed 2 and hit 1 field goal, will attempt this one from 42 yards, and the kick through the fog and all is good. So Davis, after missing his first 2, has come back, hit a 26-yarder, and now a 42-yard field goal. Well, you almost got the sense on that drive, Pat, that the Gators really did them a favor when they started to try to throw the ball on that audible, because Rhett was just grinding them down.
Well, Steve Spurrier thought it was very important for his team to win this game. A, to get that tough loss to Alabama off their minds, and B, for him to win his first bowl game. And also, it really is something to build on for this very young team that he has returning next year, a team that clearly, I believe, is going to be competing for the SEC crown again.
So are you going to predict what? Ranked number, what, 3 or 4?
Yeah, they're going to be a top 5 team.
Yeah, I think you're right. Now, this win tonight, if they hang on here, would give Spurrier his 3rd consecutive season with 9 wins or more.
You know, I really like his offense, too. He's a guy, we talked about him being so innovative. He went to Duke as the offensive coordinator under Red Wilson, and Red Wilson said, hey, do whatever you want. And he really made it up. I mean, it wasn't this, he didn't borrow from this guy or that guy or this guy. He has made this offense up, and he's developed it. It's been trial and error. He's made some mistakes, he said, but a new wrinkle virtually every week for him.
Well, as you mentioned, they've averaged 311 yards passing all those years at Duke and Florida. Kickoff to Aubrey Shaw, and Shaw is going to be pushed backwards. He got across the 20 to the 22-yard line. North Carolina State trailing 20-3 now with 1 minute and 2 seconds left. Look at this. This will document what you're talking about.
30 points a game, 447 yards a game now. This is at Duke in Florida. But the 311 yards passing game to me is really incredible. And look at tonight's statistics for the Gators.
Well, their offense down a little this year, but look at the yards they have in this one. They last year averaged 460 yards a game. Over the middle. Catch is made by the tight end, Neil Auer, and he'll be dropped in the vicinity of the 30-yard line. Auer's been pretty effective. His brother, Scott, was also a co-captain for State back in '88. He was a linebacker. And Neil Auer, an all-ACC academic pick. He has 3 catches for 30 yards.
Well, Dick Sheridan was saying about Auer that he's had a terrific year for us. He's been a good blocker, a very good receiver. He's one of our co-captains. Thinks he's going to have a future.
Second down and 2, a gain of 8, and Barber trying to get the first down. Boy, Barber has just not had any running room. He's had to work for everything in this game. And so we have completed 3 quarters of play in this 48th Annual Gator Bowl. 20-3, Florida with the lead. Florida with a 20-3 lead as we start the fourth quarter. I tell you, Tom Delnos, our spotter, he's bug-eyed up here trying to spot everybody. There Jordan comes out throwing. We start the fourth quarter. This time they go back to Goins, and he makes his catch of an 18-yard gain. So State now has it at the 45-yard line. First down.
What Eddie Goins does well is come out of the break. Now, he may not beat a defender as he goes into the break, but he's quick out of it. And he creates that separation as he comes out of the break, and that's when you have completions, when you separate from the defender.
So Goins now maybe getting on track, as is Jordan over the middle. That's the tight end we're talking about. Auer, been a very busy guy, catches the ball just short of the 50, close to a 5-yard pickup. 4 catches for 35 yards. They're going without a huddle. Not only do they not huddle on defense, but now their offense. See that? That's a long pass down the field, up, and it is caught by Reggie Lawrence at the 20-yard line. It was a jump ball. He came down with it with Gilmore and Hatch on both sides of him, a 42-yard gain.
Well, that's the kind of play, the big play in the passing game they have needed all game. Now, they trail 20-3 with 4 minutes remaining, so probably too late, but that is the kind of play that has hurt Florida this year. They've been tough in situations, but they've been giving up some big plays in the passing game.
Reggie Lawrence has really battled tough in this game. He hurt his arm a couple of times. Jordan over the middle, is picked off. Intercepted by Will White. And White, coming out up there, has now picked off 15 passes in his career. It's a Gator record. The senior, his final appearance, there is a flag on the play. Flag inside the 20-yard line.
Well, good read there by Will White, the free safety. He just kind of locked into Terry Jordan, the quarterback, and Jordan had thrown that ball down the middle 4 or 5 times tonight, but penalty against Florida.
Penalty against Florida.
Looks like it was after the turnover, though, I guess, because the offense is still on the field.
Yeah, an illegal block, evidently. Here is the play once again.
Let's see, the free safety, Will White, just kind of read the eyes of Terry Jordan the whole way.
After the interception, half the distance to the goal, first down.
Will White, his sophomore year, had 7 interceptions. He, as a sophomore, was a first-team All-American. His numbers have dropped off. He's 3 times been on the All-SEC list, making the 2nd team this season. Nice way for him to finish his career for Florida. Trey Errict now comes into the ball game. Ezekiel the third. With now 3:54 left in the game. The penalty moving the ball back inside the 10. Matthews and Rhett is back in there. So Rhett is able to wedge it out to the 10-yard line. There's Will.
Well, started all 4 years, the Gators. You mentioned the 15 interceptions.
Not as happy on the other sideline. By the way, that carry by Rhett was his 35th, and that is a Gator Bowl record.
He has had a big night. You know, he's done a little bit of everything, Gary.
Flag. There is no penalty.
I mean, he's had some outside runs. He's had some inside runs. He's broken some tackles. He's shown some flashes of some speed, made some people miss. Been a big receiver in the game as well.
156 yards rushing. Look at this time of possession. First half, North Carolina State didn't have it very much, did they? At the 10 now. Rhett on his way, building some yardage, and he fumbled the ball. It's loose at the 20. And I think Mike Reed has it for NC State, so a couple of turnovers here. North Carolina State will get it. It's going to be David Merritt that came up with it, the linebacker. So with now 3:15, they've got it at the Florida 20-yard line.
Well, he takes a big hit. Errict Rhett takes a big hit. I thought it was by one of the linebackers who got a good shot at it. No, it was a free safety, Ricky Turner. You know, the thing about Florida, they have had 30 turnovers this year, actually 32 now, and they still won 8 games.
That's right. They had a -12 in the turnover differential this year. As opposed to State, it was a +5. Jordan over the middle and almost a touchdown. Goins had a crack at it. Good coverage that
Yeah, look
time.
who made the play again.
Lawrence Hatch.
Yeah. Lawrence Hatch again. Again, this was a pretty good throw in a well-designed play. Started with some pretty good protection, but number 18, watch Hatch take a good shot at him. He had it caught for a while, went right after the ball, went up high to knock the ball loose to the receiver, and Lawrence Hatch has done that all evening. He has knocked, I think, maybe 5 passes out of receivers' hands.
I agree, and he's a guy who was a transfer from Orange Coast Junior College in California. Hasn't played a lot, but they think he has a ton of ability. Jordan back again. Inside, little screen intended for Goins, and he can't come up with it. They set that up at games earlier this year, and it was very effective, where he runs towards Jordan. They dump it off, and he has a convoy up the field, but it's incomplete. Stops the clock with 3:05. Third down and 10 yards as the line of scrimmage still the 20-yard line. 3:05 to go. 2 timeouts left for North Carolina State. Trailing 20-3. Jordan completes it. Catch made by Liddell George. Stays on his feet, and he's going to be knocked down in the vicinity of the 10-yard line. Now, he needed to get there for the first down, and we're going to have to wait because we cannot see the far side whether he got the first down or not.
I can't even see the officials anymore.
They are now indicating a first down. Thereby they have the length of a football. Thank you, Lonnie Dale, our director. Thanks, Lonnie. We need your help right now, buddy.
Absolutely. Well, Liddell George is the receiver out of the backfield. They've used him more as a receiver than as a runner. A better hands than Anthony Barber or Maynard.
First and goal, quarterback draw, and that fooled nobody. Jordan was stuck, losing his helmet up front. One of the offensive linemen, Errict Taylor, and Ellis Johnson and Johnny Church weren't fooled for a moment there.
Yeah, those inside tackles, you mentioned Ellis Johnson and Johnny Church. Inside tackles for Florida have done just a beautiful job. Penetration most of the evening. They've taken away the run. They put a lot of pressure on Terry Jordan. That's hard to do, is stop the run as much as they have and still put the kind of pressure they have on Terry Jordan.
Second and goal. They lost about a half yard on the play outside the 10. Jordan, far side, touchdown, complete to Aubrey Shaw. Shaw on a quick slant, and this state team has some fight left in them. 2:14 left in the game. Terry Jordan with his 10th touchdown toss of the year, an 11-yard strike.
You know, the nice thing about this team does reflect their coach, and there's no quit in Dick Sheridan. I mean, he has won a lot of games in his career, and then won a lot of them coming from behind.
Well, we'll have the onside kick. We can bet on that as point after attempt now coming up. Good attempt is to attempt it. The sophomore out of Winston-Salem, and he got it. 20-10 the count. 2:14 left in the game. 5 plays, 19 yards after the turnover. NC State has cut it to 10. Going to go back to this touchdown toss to Aubrey Shaw.
Well, the key here, Terry Jordan looks this one off. See, he looks to his right, then he comes back and finds Shaw. A little bit earlier, he had the same kind of pass intercepted by the free safety, Will White, when he kind of locked in on the receiver. That time he looks one way, he comes right back for the throw and the touchdown. Nice read by Jordan.
How could you lock in on a quarterback? You can't possibly see his eyes in this game. Onside kick coming up now. All the guys with the good hands up front now for the Gators. You can see them all strung on the far side of the field. 2:14 left to go in the game. 6 guy attempts it. It's a real dogfight at the 50-yard line.
I think Battle. Keith Battle got it.
Keith Battle, 48. Let's see what the determination is here.
So clearly, I should say clearly, Keith Battle did make the onside recovery. It was a matter of did the ball go 10 yards or not.
Let's listen.
The kickoff was illegally touched by the kicking team. The receiving team take the option of putting the ball here. First down.
Well, there's no decision to be made there. Gators have it.
Yeah, Battle actually touched the ball. Remember, it must travel 10 yards. And you're going to see him touch it right before it gets to the white line. He's touching it there.
Yep.
Yeah, before the line.
Almost hit another one of the players from North Carolina State before they got to Battle. So they will have it at the 46 of North Carolina State. 2:13 left. As we mentioned, 2 timeouts left for NC State, trailing by 10. And right back into the ball game is Rhett, and Rhett mounts the totals. 12-yard gain inside the 35. What a performance by this junior out of Pembroke Pines, Florida.
So I sure wouldn't have him in the game now, though, Gary.
37 carries, Pat, for 179 yards. That is a big night. His biggest, as we mentioned, was 193 against Kentucky. NC State will call a timeout. They have 1 remaining with 2:08 left to go. Well, who would you guess is our Lincoln Mercury player of the game?
Is his number 33 in blue?
Very good. 37 carries, 179 yards. Rhett. We had a tough decision over that. Gator Bowl record for rushes. The rushing record, as we mentioned earlier, 216 yards by Floyd Little. And so the Florida Gators will be taking this back to Gainesville, some 70 miles away, the Gator Bowl champion. This is the 8th Gator Bowl that Florida has played in. The last one was 1983. They beat Iowa that year, but for Steve Spurrier, the first bowl victory for him. He'd been 0-2 coming into tonight.
You know, as well as this Gator defense has played tonight, Gary, they were very unsatisfied, Steve and Ron Zook, the defensive coordinator, with how the defense played this year. It was a young defense. They had some injuries. They had some players leave. Didn't play as well defensively during the course of the year as they had the 2 previous years, but they think with all these people coming back, offensively and defensively, they're going to have a big year. I mean, they have to certainly find a replacement for Shane Matthews, who's played so marvelously over the last few years for the Gators. But this will be a team to make a real run for it next season.
I bet they find somebody between Terry Dean and Danny Werfel. Dean is a sophomore. Werfel's a redshirt freshman who was the Florida Player of the Year. He's been wig-wagging the plays in. Here's Rhett again on a 2nd down and taking it inside the 35-yard line. There's Terry Dean. This guy has had, are you ready for this, a 3.97 GPA. He's had 1 B+. All the rest have been A's. I'd like to know who that professor was that gave him the B+.
Who was a guy named Bill? What was his name? Bill?
Oh, you know? Get out of here. Anyway,
well, I was doing my preparation, Gary. I
almost believed you. You see the time remaining. Very unusual night for football, to say the least. Looks like they're going to come on the blitz as Matthews play action fake. Going up top, wide open. Harrison Houston, touchdown, Florida. 34 yards. So Shane Matthews, his final appearance for the Gators, with another touchdown strike.
It started with just perfect protection. Just perfect protection. And I think everybody in North Carolina State defense was expecting to run and have him kind of wind the clock down.
Well, Matthews had a 17-yard strike to Jackson, now 1 of 34, giving him 25 touchdown tosses this year. And there's what we see, which isn't a lot. Oh, your eyes getting a little tired. It's like driving in a snowstorm, isn't it? Davis, point after attempt on the way. And it's good. 27-10. Well, Pat, Happy New Year to you.
And to you, pal. Let's take a look at the touchdown, though. You know, Florida's had some success running those corner routes. You know, those are the ones outside. Well, when you run successful corner routes, it sets up the inside posts. And it's just the inverse of the corner. The guy fakes outside, comes inside, and Harrison Houston was wide open. He was open earlier on the corner. They missed him. They come back on a post pattern, and he's open for the TD.
You're going to take our booth coordinator, Shannon Mizell, and have him start for the airport right now. We may not find it by tomorrow morning. We may be doing 4 or 5 miles an hour through the streets of Jacksonville. Shannon wants you to leave right now to get ready, and also want to give a real thanks to John Humanick and his staff, Sports Information Office at the University of Florida. Mark Bockelman and his staff, North Carolina State, for all their help this week. Our guys in the truck, Lonnie Dale, Peter Lasser,
Joe Vincius did a great job.
Yeah,
All year.
Jay Cockrell. We've had guys who worked so hard during the NFL season and coming into this one, and I don't think anybody's worked any harder than we have tonight with these weather conditions. We thank you guys for all your help. Stephanie Bradley setting up this outfit, getting everybody parked in the right place, all the cables going, and our cameraman. What a job they have done tonight. Tom Delnos has refused the spot again. He's going back to the Valley of the Sun, where it always has sunshine. And so they're going to pile up at the 38-yard line with 1:05 left in this game. Jay Gunter was the guy who was over there coming up with it.
Well, for the North Carolina State seniors, disappointing way to end their remarkable careers, but nonetheless 40 wins for them over the past 5 years, the redshirt years they had, averaging 8 wins a season.
Well, they were picked those 6 to the preseason, the ACC, so this has been a remarkable year, coming in here 9-2-1. Jordan with that little screen to Goins. Goins across the 45, a gain of 8. Inside a minute to go.
Reception from Terry Jordan. Lex Smith on the stop for Florida.
Carolina State won their first 3 games, lost to Florida State, beat North Carolina, lost to Georgia Tech in the last second, a field goal. When they beat Texas Tech, tied Virginia Tech, which they consider to be the low point of the year, is Auer with the catch. That'll be a first down at the 46. And then they close out their season playing so well, winning their last 4 prior to the Gator Bowl here. Beating a Wake Forest team who did very well today in the Independence Bowl. Bill Dooley's final game for the Demon Deacons. Jordan with 29 seconds. Auer again. Auer's had a strong game. Takes it to the 41. They think he will play at the next level.
Well, he's got enough speed, and we've seen him obviously catch the ball, get up the middle on the defense today. He's a good blocker, and he has enough speed to get deep, and they think he's going to be able to play on Sundays.
6 catches, 47 yards for the co-captain. Clock winding down, the completion to the near sideline. Jordan making that completion to the 36 to Aubrey Shaw. 5 seconds left. Well, the Gators will be back here in the Gator Bowl against Georgia again. We're only about 15 miles, I understand, from the Georgia line. That's one of the reasons this area has been selected for the Bulldogs and Gators every year. You did a game here one time, didn't you, Georgia?
Yeah, Florida-Georgia.
You remember that one?
It was a 44-0 game. Georgia won. Herschel Walker had a big day. How about the state of Florida, though? They produced about 150 Division I-A athletes out of the state of Florida.
Jordan, last gasp. A lot of blue shirts are down there. And has it been picked up? It's academic, whether it is or not. It looks like Will White is over there mugging somebody. I think it's Michael Gilmore. We'll give him credit for that interception. As time has expired, 27-10, the Gators.
Steve Spurrier, first of all, the great news, Errict Rhett tells Gator fans he's coming back for his senior year.
Well, we knew he was coming back all along, so that wasn't big news. But Errict had a super night, and our defense, story of the game was our defense. They played super. Had some turnovers that gave State their only scores, but it's best our defense maybe played all year. Really proud of them.
What about the touchdown by Shane Matthews at the end? A great tribute for him as well, but of course NC State not happy with you scoring again.
Well, they were blitzing. They were trying to stop us from running. We're trying to win a game.
A great win to build on for what could be an outstanding year next season.
Well, hopefully. We're proud of the way these guys played. Played a lot of effort. It was a good win. We had that number 6 on our helmets tonight for the 6 Gators that got killed in a plane crash going to Birmingham to watch us play. So this victory was for 6 guys.
Thank you very much, Coach Spurrier. Let's go back to Gary Bender and Pat Hayden.
All right, Craig. Not only did Rhett have 183 yards rushing, he caught 7 passes for 60 yards. That's 243 yards in total offense. We'll be back with some final thoughts here from the Gator Bowl. 27-10, the Gators defeat the Wolfpack.